Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 649, written by Deep Mission 4998, My Grandma's Shirt. My maternal grandmother passed away in January. My mom was very close to her. I wasn't. She lives far away and I hadn't seen her since I was 13. When my mom went to gather some of her possessions, she brought me a shirt. A very distinct shirt. A small, petite-sized blouse, white with blue stripes and blue floral patterns. Croft and Barrel brand. I've had it in my possession for months. I was at my mom's house doing laundry yesterday. I have 2 laundry baskets, a wicker small basket and a large white hamper. I laundered the clothes in the white hamper first. When I was folding the first load of clothes, the first shirt I took from the dryer was my grandma's shirt. I folded it and put it at the bottom of the white hamper and moved on. I did 2 more loads of laundry that day. The next load of clothes, I was checking them to see if they were dry, and I saw my grandma's shirt there. It's a very distinct shirt compared to the rest of my clothes. I don't wear a lot of stripes and I don't own another blouse. I was confused because I thought I had just folded it, but figured I was being forgetful. But the tag looked different. The brand said something different too. I figured maybe I was misremembering the brand. I was then asking myself, did my mom put this shirt in here? Did she give me 2 similar shirts? So I restarted the dryer and let them go longer. Then, when it stops, I folded and ended up coming across my grandma's shirt with a weird feeling. I folded it and put it in the wicker basket. Today, I'm putting away all my laundry. I emptied the white hamper first, and at the bottom is my grandma's shirt. Croft and Barrel, small size. At this point, I'm really confused. I move on to the wicker basket. No similar shirt in there whatsoever. And I just feel so weird and confused about it. What the hell happened? The day after she passed, I was very upset. I wanted to be alone, so I went to a creek. And I ended up finding 10 heart-shaped rocks in one spot. But yeah, that's my story. Not super dramatic, but what do y'all think? Case file number 650, written by JLo Main 97. Top 10 universes. Am I immortal or entering alternate realities? I've been in 2 high-speed car wrecks, both without a seatbelt, and walked away without a single bump. First, I was a passenger in my friend's 6 Series BMW, and we were seeing how fast it could go. It was raining lightly at night, and he lost control. We busted through a guardrail, rolled 150 degrees, and landed in the woods, stopped by a tree. I walked away without any injury, and he only busted his head open and had some bruises, but his seatbelt was on. Mine was not. Second, I was driving across country in an FJ Cruiser. No seatbelt on again. Doing about 110, and I dozed off and smashed into a brick wall and rolled probably 5 times. I literally felt myself bouncing off the inside surfaces of the car as it rolled, and when it stopped, I was squatting down, and a cop somehow was already there and held open the door for me to climb out of. Again, I sustained no injuries, but the weird part was as they were questioning me, it felt like slow motion déjà vu. I literally knew everything they were about to ask me and what they were thinking, and then they would say it out loud. Most surreal moment of my life, and it convinced me this is really the Matrix, and we are all connected through the same interface. In December 2012, the Mayan apocalypse, I had another bad incident at my house which resulted in 2 days of brain scans and tests and being monitored by the hospital, but ultimately I left totally healthy and not damaged or injured in any way. I feel like I'm in that show, The OA, and maybe I'm dying in one reality, then just popping into another one because it's not my time yet. I'm not religious, but there is a Bible verse that says something like, don't be anxious about anything because you can't add a single moment to your life. What if we have a predetermined expiration date, and if something fatal happens before it, you just go into an alternate reality? There have been several stories my mom has told me about at gatherings and dinner parties, etc., which I do not recall at all. Perhaps they only happened in the reality I entered after my near-death experience. Anyways, what are your thoughts, and does anyone have a comparable story? Case notes. File number 650. What you're experiencing sounds exactly like quantum immortality. You were in situations that were completely reckless, which, by the way, I do respect as your choice, but it did lead to situations where you almost certainly died in one universe, and now you're in a different one. It seems like it happened multiple times. Now, I don't know if this is biblically tied, that the universe is predetermined. In fact, through quantum physics, it's not. We can't actually know the position and velocity of particles before the waveform collapses. And that information isn't hidden. There's no local information. So it's not like the universe knows either. Literally nothing knows until the waveform is collapsed, and then we can measure one or the other. And only then is a particle truly realized. In effect, it's like a video game where environments and physics aren't loaded for objects that aren't in use or being rendered. It seems at the most fundamental level, that's how reality works too. So for us, to have anything predetermined is impossible. In fact, I think that's what the multiverse is. It's just many branching paths that life could take. Any direction or velocity that an atom could have, any emission from the EM field, or anything that could possibly be different from one universe to another always happens. So anything that physically could happen does happen in some universe. So the multiverse isn't infinite, but it does branch out to such an extreme that it would be impossible to even try to rationalize how many there are. I really enjoy the fact that the Marvel multiverse is a thing. I mean, it's getting people thinking about this in the pop culture and the mainstream, which is awesome. Now, I don't think they're going to cover quantum immortality exactly, but just the idea that people are getting out there and thinking that, yeah, we inhabit a multiverse. How cool is that? Everything that could possibly have happened to you probably did happen in some universe. So yeah, if you wanted to get with the prom queen, you probably did in one universe. Well, as long as it's physically possible. Maybe in another one you're a multimillionaire. Maybe in another one you discover how to cure cancer. One thing that's very interesting though about quantum immortality is, given the multiverse is so extensive, why is it that when we jump to another universe after we die, that we always seem to jump to a universe that is almost identical to the one we just came from? Is that a hard-coded rule? It seems to be. Maybe it's a distance thing. Maybe the multiverse branches out, but there's a physical distance between universes in the multiverse, and the closer the universe is that you jump to, the more similar it is to the original universe. And the further away it is, well, the more different it is. Could be a theory. Bonus file, written by mammothdm, in the spirit of intimidation. When I was in 4th to 8th grade, we moved into a century-old farmhouse in Strawtown, Indiana. My father was in and out of the picture at this point in my life, so most of the time it was only me, my mother, and 2 younger brothers living there. One was only a year younger than I, and the youngest was 0 to 4 during this time. The house always felt as though someone was watching you or breathing down your neck. I'm just going to list out the things that occurred for brevity's sake. My mom started seeing black shadows around the house. She said she could only smell him. Body odor would be smelled in a specific spot and not directly next to it. As time went on, she started seeing the imprint of someone sitting on the edge of her bed. Then, one night, it lay across her legs and she woke up thrashing to get it off. Me, I had the upstairs bedroom connected to the attic door through a small closet. These were huge rooms. Things were the least crazy for me. I would hear footsteps run up and down the stairs at night, and my brothers would be in bed. The scariest thing that would happen to me was that often, the door to the attic would swing open, as though someone forced it against the wall, and a cold presence would rush to my bedside. When I was 14, I started into a spiraling depression. I painted my walls blood red and began writing poetry and things on my walls in aggressive handwriting. Never have I felt or acted that way since. I have, however, had many instances of paranormal activity follow me throughout my life. My Irish twin brother had it bad. I only know fragments of his story, as what happened to him is something he'd rather forget. One night, he screamed in his room. We checked on him, and he had been smacked. I thought it was him hitting himself in his sleep, but the handprint was upside down. Impossible to do to yourself. 15 years later, my mom told me she found him crying on the stairs one night. He was reluctant to tell her why, but when pressed, he told her he kept hearing voices telling him to kill all of us. My mom, understandably, kept this from us at the time. When I asked him about it, he was visibly upset and said it stopped as soon as we moved from that house. My youngest brother was 2 to 3 when he started saying weird stuff. He would see Boots walking around the house with nobody attached. He'd also hear laughing when he'd get near the basement steps. I remember the 4 of us kneeling and praying that this entity would leave us alone. It didn't. We decided to leave after a morning when my mom and youngest brother were home alone. They were taking a nap when the bed and dresser started violently shaking. No earthquakes in the area. They shook by themselves, and what my mom said was intimidation. We moved out. Was told by a neighbor that everyone else that has moved in afterward moved out within a few months. It's empty now. I still drive by it sometimes and want to go confront whatever is there and get answers. The landlord is an old farmer that doesn't believe in it. This has been the first time I've posted my story online. These are some of the things that have happened since I've moved on with my life. In several different houses since, I've heard strange noises of objects moving in other rooms and deliberate knocking. Not super frequent though. In one house, we had a painting of "Delight yourself in the name of the Lord" up in the dining room. Heard a crash and found it 5 feet to the right, blocking the bathroom entrance. Would also hear razors and shampoo bottles being tossed in the bathroom at that house. In another, I had 2 friends over playing poker in the kitchen, when, as we were talking about a shelf that came off my wall the night before, a plastic blender cup was chucked out of the pantry behind us and bounced off the wall.